And news just coming in, we're being told that RBI Chief Raghuram Rajan is announcing the new credit policy. Let's cross live.
That we haven't moved on policy rates doesn't mean we haven't moved. We've moved on a variety of other dimensions.
Questions. Gopika? Governor, this is Gopika from ET Now. Now with the onus of future rate cuts falling on banks and monetary policy transmission, how much of transmission do you expect from the banks? With most banks saying that they do not expect to pass on the previous rate cuts, say 50 basis points, how much do you think is warranted so that transmission is effective?
I don't think we're looking for a specific number and saying unless this happens, nothing more will happen. But we want to facilitate the process of transmission. I don't see an environment where credit growth is tepid. Banks are sitting on money, so to speak, and their cost of funding, their marginal cost of funding has fallen. The notion that it hasn't fallen is nonsense. It has fallen. They can borrow at the margin today at 7.5%. We've kept it. There's plenty of liquidity in the markets. So at some point, the pressure on the banks, the competitive pressures will tell, as it is a number of corporations are borrowing directly from the markets. You've seen that announced even today. So I have no doubt that this will happen. If it happens sooner, it's better for the economy, but banks have to make their own decision.
Saloni?
Governor, just taking that particular point forward, you mentioned here that your stance remains safe, but going forward you will look at whether the transmission is happening or not. So I just wanted to understand, since January we've seen 2 out-of-policy rate cuts. Going forward, there is a, street is divided whether Fed will go and start tightening their own monetary policy by June or September. So going forward, just trying to understand the policy guidance, is another out-of-policy rate cut, expected because till June, there will be 2 more CPI datas that you will get. So just wanted to understand.
We, as I said, I can't go further than saying we are waiting to look at the data. Our stance turned more accommodative in January, and it remains so, which means you shouldn't expect the direction to change in the future. The timing of future cuts will depend on how much room we have, and we've outlined a number of factors we're looking at. We're not saying everything has to happen, but we're saying we'd like to see some more of what we need to see happen. As far as Fed policy goes, we are not, in some sense, saying that that will be a determinant. We are more focused on the domestic economy and the domestic requirements. Of course, Fed monetary policy has an effect around the world, but at this point, as we say in the statement, we feel we are adequately buffered. And so that is not going to be a key factor or the key factor in determining our monetary policy stance going forward.
All right, that was RBI Chief Raghuram Rajan announcing the RBI's new credit policy. Let's get an word from Virender Gunawat, who's with us on the phone line from Mumbai. Virender, can you take us through the key takeaways from this announcement that's just come in?
Simi, in fact, the major focus of the entire policy seems to be on the inflation part, because as the economists and the experts even in the market were predicting that inflation could be the future threat for the RBI, seeing the kind of a monsoon across the country. In fact, even in the rate policy, RBI has made it very clear. So let me read out, saying that second advance estimate of the Ministry of Agriculture suggests that the contraction of food grains production in 2014 and 15 may turn out to be less than earlier anticipated. However, the adverse impact of unseasonal rains and hailstorms in March is still unfolding. That initially estimate indicates that as much as 17% of the sown area under the rabi crop may have been affected. So overall, on the inflation part, it has also said the RBI that there are upside risks to the central projection emanating from possible intensification of El Nino condition. That also clearly sent the indication to the people of this country by the RBI policy that inflation could be the major concern issue, and that needs to be seen in the data that should be coming in the coming days and the coming months. In fact, let me also tell you, we will definitely ask one query to the RBI governor, one that the farmers are still committing suicide despite the Prime Minister making a suggestion to all the banks to be normal with the farmers' loans and all. In fact, in last 48 hours, the 5 farmer has committed suicide. So that needs to be concern area for the RBI governor, and that's the reason he has keep the policy rate unchanged. That is one of the issues. Second, the consumption demand, it is still not much as expected. The growth is still a concern issue. Back to you, Sini.
All right, Virendra, thanks so much for that. We're going to keep coming back to you for more.